How he's doing, people? He's alright. I'll be saying to you. Right. How's it going, people? He's alright. So, decided a couple of weeks off, and I thought I would just do a wee afternoon chewing the fat with Gav. Hopefully, maybe Marty maybe join in. Just going to chew some fat, have a wee laugh at some of the Globe nonsense and some of the liars and some of the bullshit that they come out with. For anybody who's curious or interested, the live open platform will be continuing as of next Saturday. I just thought it was time to have a wee break from that format for a while. So I will be back with it next Saturday. There's just a quick run through for anybody who's new, who comes across this. We are people who refuse the globe. Flat Earth is simply a term that was adopted because it was trending at a time. It is a loaded term and is full of propaganda and misconceptions that have been deliberately pumped out there. Flat Earth here simply means a refusal of the globe and, you know, an acceptance of our direct experience of everyday reality, which is that it is demonstrably level, doesn't bend anywhere, and that the substances here in the real world tell us exactly what is going on, particularly in regards to water and its behaviour, which are undeniable, and it is an abundant substance that people can verify and test for themselves, that tells you beyond any shadow of a doubt any body of water, collection, accumulation of water that is piled up will be equal at every given point. Okay, it's very, very simple. There is absolutely no measurable curvature, detectable curvature anywhere on Earth. Right? The applications in the practical real world are assuming a plane surface. Okay, so the duty, the burden of proof is on the globe proponents, which from me and my direct realist point of view is just not good enough. I am not going to ignore my direct experience of everyday reality, what I can test, observe, repeat for myself over an image. What has happened in the human psyche is that they have substituted real science, that being an individual's pursuit of an understanding of their objective reality. They have substituted that and gave power to institutions and the TV. So people believe what they hear from institutions and their priesthood, which is backed by images. Now, the whole of physics has had to be bastardized and reworked with mathematical jargon in order to convince you that you live on the exterior of a potato-shaped rock, pressurized, uncontained, separated, non-separated from the vacuum of space, while it zips around it at thousands and thousands of miles per hour. It's an absolute absurdity to any rational, sane person. You have to try really, really hard in order to accept the globe as your reality. Okay? It is pathetically weak. And that's about all I have to say about it today. I'm tired of going over the same shite and saying the same stuff. Okay? Don't come at me with your preconceived bullshit about what flat earth means and try and attach that to me. I'm not interested. I am interested in the claim I was born into, the cult, which is heliocentrism. And that will answer to me. And that is what I encourage you people to take, that stance. You are the authority over you. You decide and discern what is reality and what's not reality. Okay? Nobody gets to tell you that. So, I'm not going to keep saying any more about it. It's as simple as that. So I've got a couple of wee videos. What we'll do, I'm going to start with a couple of these wee comments because they're fucking hilarious. Give me a wee second here. I'm just going to read out a couple of these comments here just to start with the globe fanatics and their absolute fucking idiocy. So where we go here, what was this one? Oh, fuck, what's this? Well, Del, that is Anthony O'Neill. Well, Del, I have one question for you. Why have you Masonic satanic tattoos on your body? I have noticed you never expose Masons or their influence. It's obvious now that indeed you are one. Of course, you deny this, as what I do know about Masons is that they are devious, cowardly persons. As a fellow Celtic fan, it pisses me off that you and your brethren think yous are more knowledgeable than us mere mortals. Very, very unusual that a Celtic fan would have anything to do with those that oppose and hate us. You have been exposed, sir. Oh. And now, like everyone that sells the fallen ones, you someday will pay the price. I'm shocked Eric still promotes you. Question marks have now arisen over Eric too. Shills incognito. I can't believe I'm still having to deal with people in regards to tattoos on your fucking skin. Right. First and foremost, let's understand the actual topic of discussion. If you check back from the chronology and from when I actually arrived here on this whole thing, the topic of discussion is the shape of the earth. The topic of discussion is eradicating the bullshit, the fluff, and getting right to the core points, which I have endeavoured to do over and over and over, and never wandered away from that aspect. At the same time, continually focus on aspects of empowering the individual and what's important to the individual in order to discern and understand information to be empowered. That's the total opposite of a group of people who want to keep people in oppressed and in confusion and manipulate them to their benefit while they are in ignorance. So when you say look at people's walk, this is what tells you. That's what I'm talking about. You know, the topic's the earth shape. All this stuff are agents of propaganda, right? It's like, we'll use another analogy. You know, we go and we're going to assess the game of football, and what we're going to assess is the 22 players on the park, their capabilities, their skills, their endeavours, and how they contributed to the game of football. Right, so it's the game of football that we're interested in, with the 11 players on the park, blah blah. Then you get dipshits like Anthony O'Neill that come along and go, number seven's got tattoos. Number seven's got tattoos that I don't understand and don't know anything about. And I've seen these tattoos and these symbols in some other place that I've been told means badness and you know, what's going on here? We need to have a look at this. No, Anthony, I'm interested in the game of football, the topic of discussion. I'm interested in the people's skills and what they're contributing and what they're offering in regards to the game of football. Now, can you highlight to me what the tattoos on their skin has got anything to do with that topic of discussion? No, you bloody well cannot, Anthony. So methinks Anthony is just a wee sweetie wife, bitchy, manipulative fanny boss, spewing garbage to try and confuse people and bamboozle them with inanimate symbols, pencil marks or ink marks on things that have no intrinsic value or meaning whatsoever. So you've not exposed anything, Anthony, other than your fear-based propaganda, jobby-minded idiocy. Your head's full of dire rumpus. I suggest you take something to flush it out. Okay? What about the dimple, my chin? Does that no mean I'm from Germanic origin? Who's here? That was bizarre. My whole PC just decided to pack into my back. Can people hear me? Fucking whole PC just shut down. Said it was encountering a problem. Gav, are you here? It says you were here. Right, anyway, what I was saying. So, when we get comments like this, you know, this is how you understand the psyops and the propaganda and how it's being worked. You know, when we're talking about a particular topic of discussion, so whether it's the shape of the earth or, as I was highlighting, a football match, I am interested in that topic, and I will judge the players on that park and assess their abilities and what they contributed from what they offer on the park. And as soon as I get people coming along and saying, but he's got a funny haircut, or he's got tattoos in his skin, or, you know, he goes to this place in his private time, or he likes to get up to that in his private time, I know I'm dealing with shysters. I know I'm dealing with manipulative, lying little tits. Okay? So.
All right, man.
How's it going, mate?
Well, for a minute you were gone. I was all alone.
But I don't know what happened. It just, the PC just shut down and said it was encountering a problem. And decided to restart itself. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on, mate. So
I think the chat's having a laugh that I'm sniping you.
Aye. It must have been my Illuminati Masonic shill buddies that done it or something.
Something to do with the tattoos.
Yeah.
How's it going? All right.
Good, mate. Good. I was just, where was I? Hold on 2 seconds, mate, because I was looking for a couple of comments just to kick it off.
There you go.
So we'll get something here. What was this one? HSLUFC. So he's quoting me here. You're ignoring the sophistication that is your senses, your direct experiences. Would these be the sophisticated senses that can't be sure what colour a dress is in a photo? Can't tell when someone is saying ba, not fa? Can't tell the difference between 70 and 90 miles per hour? No, again, this is this, you know, taking one isolated aspect of sense and playing on it, you know. So, shit, where am I here?
So that's what they like to do. They like to push the fact that our senses are fallacious, you know, which is absolute nonsense. Just because we sometimes don't know exactly how they work, yeah, or there's explanations for certain things. It's.
But there's a huge difference. To highlight, I can't tell that your eyes can't tell the difference between a colour of a dress. Well, what my senses can do is identify that there is a physical object there, you know, that I can touch, taste, smell, you know, get up close. So it's a combination of your senses, which is exactly why when we talk about, you know, purely visibles in the sky, intangible phenomena, then we know that we don't have enough, because all you have is a visual representation, which clearly is not enough, isolated on its own. So
absolutely, it's a partial experience, if you like, yeah. I mean, tangible, visible, smell, you know, olfactory, you know, everything to do with your ears. That's the totality of common experiences, and they corroborate each other, right? You know, I mean, you know the problem that, you know, if you hold your nose, that stuff tastes differently, right? You know, because the things corroborate to bring about a certain experience or perception. So, yeah, and only having one part of your overall perception with one of your senses isn't enough to tell you the full story.
It's absolute idiocy when people say this about your senses. Well, what have you got to offer if you're telling us that nobody can trust their senses? And hang on a wee minute. This thing here is the most sophisticated machinery, you know, the most sophisticated senses and equipment that you can ever possibly come across. There is nothing in the external world that you could ever bring that is going to be more sophisticated than the human body. So, you know, these
they try today, Dale. You know, I mean, they can't make lenses as perfect as the human eye, right? They can't manufacture something like an ear that has the ability to, you know, understand chords and discord and what an octave is. I mean, they can't do that. You know, as you say, the body is the best machine we have, you know, if you want to call it that, you know.
It's the first port of call. Now, if you get people who are telling you can't trust that, then anything these people have got to say, you're dealing with an absolute imbecile. You know, can't trust your senses and nothing can be known and well, what am I talking?
Trust my stories. Trust my wee stories and my equations.
Aye, we need equations. Can't trust your senses, but my equations. Well, I thought your equations were created through your senses. Aye, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah, we'll just ignore the fact that all knowledge is based on your common sense observations and practical experience, you know.
Yep,
let's just ignore that completely, you know. Let's just say that it came in a book, the word, the equations, you know, and let's just start for that. It's got fuck all to do with lived life. Nah, it can't be anything to do with reality.
Exactly.
Preposterous, right? Well, these people need to look a bit closer, I think. No.
Exactly, mate. What else have we got? Professor Phil Bell. I'm curious, Dylan, your goofy friend Gav, how will you know when you have arrived? How will you know when you've arrived at truth? I hope that we didn't, you know, hurt your feelsies there, Gav.
I'm crying.
So, Mr. Phil Bell, now let's extend our newly acquired knowledge about lowest potential energy in terms of the atmosphere. Just like water, gases have mass. Well done, Phil. In fact, under the right conditions of pressure, height above the surface, and temperature or combination, water is a gas and sometimes a solid.
What's his point?
I don't know. So gases are not weightless. How do I know? Who says they were weightless? How do I know? Freeze a kilogram of carbon dioxide, dry ice, and drop it on your foot. I guarantee you will notice that gas is not weightless. I don't know why I keep saying that, because I don't remember any of us ever professing that was the case. Do you, Gav?
No, is he talking about the way objects fall again to give us measurable curvature? Seems to be.
Honestly, we'll read on and see if we can get any sense out of this idea. Now, just like water, gas molecules are forced to settle at their lowest potential energy. Stop and read again if you're lost. This means just like water, they must settle in the shape of a sphere. Oh, here we go. Here's just an insistence.
Yes.
Where are you getting this from, Mr. Phil? I have never went to a lake of water or any body of water and seen it as a fucking sphere. What are you talking about? I'm not a sphere. Are you a sphere, Gav?
No, I've been sphereless most of my life.
It's the piss in your bladder. Do you think it's formed into a sphere right now?
I can't remember ever pissing wee spherical droplets. No. Yeah.
No, me either. Right, blah, 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 sphere. Set as close to the centre of mass as possible. The difference is that gases, unlike water, have molecules that move around each other vigorously. And unlike water, the gases have different density. Oh, well done. Yes, one of the two flatheads' favourite words. Density means the amount of molecules of a particular substance that will fit in a particular volume. Amount of molecules is proportional to the amount of mass, which is tied to the force of gravity. Oh, for fuck's sake. Here we go. No, the boy's acknowledging and making sense of the actual practical real world, and then goes and invokes religious nonsense. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by gravity here, Mr. Phil. Are you talking about a description of the way things fall, or are you talking about the cause? If you're talking about the cause, you don't have a fucking clue. Okay?
And if he's talking about the effect, then he better define his terms properly so that we can understand his description. Because, you know, just throwing in things like gravity and weight and volumetric mass, well, what is mass, right? You know, let's hear that definition first before we go any further.
The amount of mass volume is used by lay people. Well, we scientists, so I know he's talking for we. He's now, showing us his cult, illogical, nonsensical, idiotic pea brain and full fucking action here. Phil is no a we, unless he's registered as a multiple personality disorder. Phil is not we. And I don't think he has two heads either. He's no a conjoined twin. Right? I'm going to assume that he's just a singular guy. So I don't know what this wee stuff's about.
He's maybe bipolar.
That's what I'm saying. I hope he's got the documentation, his medical documentation to show us. Right, I lost where I was there. Well, we scientists prefer the amount of molecules, blah, blah, blah. So the observer away from Earth would see a thin layer of atmosphere given the right light conditions, because he knows, because he's been away from Earth to conduct all this stuff.
Sure.
Conforming to the shape of the Earth, not because of the shape of the Earth, but because every gas molecule is forced to settle at its lowest potential energy level. Phil, I'm trying to gather here where you're getting the measurable proof that the Earth's a sphere for this diatribe of utter nonsensical bullshit here, mate. Jupiter, the gas giant, is evidence that gases must form a sphere.
Yeah.
Just like the flag.
That wee light in the sky, is it? He's talking about.
The sun is evidence that a great many gas molecules, even in a continuous fusion reaction, must settle into the shape of a sphere. How do I know? The evidence is abundant. Where, Phil? We can all look at the circles in the sky. And by the way, when I look at the sun, I see a circle. I don't see a sphere. I don't know about anybody else.
No, I'm the same.
So that's just a lot of fucking jobby. A load of verbal diarumpus here, Mr. Phil Bell, and offering absolutely fuck all. You know?
Yeah, it's the same stuff you can find in most science books. He seems to have just regurgitated it, I think, most of it, without really understanding what it is he's saying.
The problem is, again, is a lack of understanding when you're dealing with direct realists and what we're actually talking about. Well, me as a human being, I'm observing the world and assessing the world I'm living in. Now, I've got people that are coming to me and saying, oh, Earth's existing in a vacuum. Well, this gas pressured Earth exists in a vacuum. Is there a barrier between the two? No. So I then go to my reality and I go, okay, well, you know, how would this possibly be there? And I look at what's required in order to, you know, see a vacuum, which I need a containment for. Then I go, right, okay, how do I create gas pressure? Well, I need a container. Right, now I want to take the gas pressure container, put it into the vacuum and remove the container and have the gas pressure remain there while there's a vacuum around. And reality shows me that that's fucking absolutely ridiculous. So don't come and tell me that you've got answers to these things when you can't demonstrate it. And my practical reality tells me that a claim like that is just an absolute fucking joke coming from clowns.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that could possibly be true is if he's in a different reality from us. You know? Maybe that's his problem. He's in the fourth dimension.
Aye.
The unicorn dimension.
Aye, I mean,
where these things happen.
They just keep coming with these fucking explanations all the time. Well, this is how it works. Well, as you said before, Gav, we can get an explanation of how the warp drive works on the fucking Starship Enterprise. Does that mean it's true?
Well, it does for them. They're nearly there, right? They're nearly on Mars. It won't be long until there are people there terraforming masters of the universe.
We're always full of this, and this misrepresent the actual claims, which leads me on to this character as well. This is another absolute incompetent, useless liar known as ALK, a Scottish guy who has made a video. And I
always thought that was pronounced alky, which is a West Scottish term for somebody who imbibes too many libations.
Aye, that's it. That's what he is. He's an alky. So we've got alky here. Flat Earth can't vacuum. Now at the beginning of this video, he's got me and Mark Sargent, and he's going on about flat earthers claiming the vacuum of space sucks. I have never made such claims in my fucking entirety. Not once have I ever professed that the vacuum of space sucks. It has been reiterated over and over and over that you're talking about an environment with no gas pressure, okay? And you're talking about an environment with a gas pressure existing within the medium that is a vacuum, and that there is no solid containment separating the pressurized environment from the vacuum environment. So you can word it whatever way you like, suck, negative pressure, no pressure, whatever you want. We know what we're talking about here. We all know what we're meaning the same thing. Okay, now show me an actual reality. We're talking about real science now, real people that need real tangibles. Show me the justification for such an absurd, idiotic belief and statement. You can misrepresent me all you like, talking about vacuum sucking. That's not what has ever been professed here. And I'm going to highlight this idiot's video to show how fucking absolutely incompetent and seriously stupid to the point of retardation this guy actually is. He's so enamoured with a religious belief system that he can't even see the wood for the trees and what he's actually demonstrating. He goes on to show in a video here a continuation constantly of pressure in a containment, vacuum in a containment, and the relationship between the two. But somehow in his irrational, illogical, retarded mind, he thinks he's making a point. Bizarre.
Well, I mean, what they always... well, I haven't seen the video yet, so I'll go for it, but this constant trying to associate and strawman, you know, people, right, you know, by whatever, associating you with Mark Sargent or saying you said things that you never... That's part of their modus operandi anyway, isn't it? Right? It's all they have when they fail to meet the demands of a direct realist.
But we'll have a wee look through it. It's 16 minutes long, but we only need to get the first 5 fucking minutes or something, you know?
Right, get Alki on. Right.
Hello. Let me see. Oh no, what's happened here? I can't screen share. Shit. I've had to join this as a guest. How do I come back in here as running the hangout? This is bizarre. Shit.
Is that when you got chucked out? You had to come back in as a guest?
Aye, when I get chucked out, I just clicked the link that I sent you. And now when I'm trying to screen share, I don't have the separation. So it's showing the two screens together. Hang on a minute, actually, if I try that, can I get rid of that at the top? I can. Right, that should help. So let me see now. So there's no address to be seen here. Let me just double check. So have a look. So you can't see an address on there, can you?
No.
Aye.
So Flat Earth is essentially just a cult full of...
Scottish.
Aye, he's a wee...
Flat Earth is a cult of... Well, I'm showing you a cartoon. Flat Earth is a cult.
What a fucking moron. Imagine showing a fucking cartoon. Actually, that's more believable looking. That's more realistic looking than any globe picture I've ever seen.
I would confirm that, right?
2 seconds, mate, sorry.
Right, well.
Did that work? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can see the screen as well.
Aye. No, I thought I was... so, aye, okay.
Very ignorant people.
No, we're not ignorant people, son. You're an ignoramus because you keep misrepresenting people and telling blatant lies. You, sonny boy, have been offered numerous occasions to meet up for an actual discussion and to do real-time observations, to go through your maths of your sphere Earth bullshit and see if it holds up in the actual real world. And you refused. You act like a scared little child, hiding in anonymity, making hit piece videos and misrepresenting, barefaced lying about people. You're a cult member. You're the cult disciple. Remember, people here believed we lived on a globe. We had the intellectual honesty and the capacity to understand that it was a faulty belief structure then have the decency to, when faced with new evidence or lack of evidence, to move on for that. You don't. You keep spouting the same bullshit.
And as a result, what you find is that most of their content involves simply repeating the same things over and over again.
What? Look, my pictures, my circles in the sky, my images, my mathematics.
Equations.
Aye.
One of the topics they like to constantly repeat false information about is the vacuum of space. They actually believe the vacuum of space quite literally works like a vacuum cleaner.
No, see, this is what I'm saying. What an idiotic little child this boy is. When have any of us ever professed that it acts like a vacuum cleaner?
Oh, none of us ever.
No, absolutely not.
False equivalency the man's trying to bring up.
But little cheesy dick breath here likes to tell porky pies because he's a cult idiot defending an absolute absurdity. Look at the cartoons. Look at them. This wee fanny believes in this crap. But rather than providing actual scientific proof of the absurdities, he just likes to make lies up about people.
Yes, he's never came onto the channel, has he?
No, he's just a shite bag. He probably has stock accounts like the rest of them and just makes up utter garbage.
That all it is an empty space that has no matter in it. It has no force.
Right? No force, nothing. Right? So no pressure. Okay?
Generally what they tend to...
There's even a bigger belief already assumed in there, and this is this whole idea of there being some kind of absolute space, right, in which objects can move, which was one of Newton's basic hypotheses, right, or what Newton believed in. So I'd pull him back even to that. We've got no proof of that. No evidence whatsoever, apart from stories and lights in the sky.
And fucking baldy idiots like that clown right there at the top right of the page with his fucking whiteboard and his wee crayons. It's another fucking incompetent moron here. Only this fucking clown up here, he's got access to children apparently, which is deeply concerning because the guy's an utter buffoon. And we remember when this guy came on to the live hangout, remember Gavin getting an absolute pasting, and then because he got a pasting, he handed the link to one of his wee cronies who played porn on our hangout. So this guy professes he teaches children, but yet it runs about with people who are playing porn on people's hangouts that children can view. This guy's a seedy little creepy cunt that needs for the watching, and so are these clowns that are hanging about with him.
The idea that because the atmosphere is pressurized, it can't exist next to a vacuum without some kind of solid barrier.
Yes, Alki, and that's a fundamental, demonstrable fact. I don't know how it's so hard for you to understand that. Go and make a vacuum and show me how you can have a non-contained pressure within the vacuum while still maintaining a vacuum around the pressure. It's just total lunacy.
Yep. Nature abhors a vacuum, as
Aye.
the old saying goes.
Starting with two examples from Flat Earthers, Mark Sargent and Dell from Behind the Learning Curve.
Oh, it's just so funny.
I'm Alki. I'm a junkie and I talk utter shite.
Look at some video.
I think he just fancies me and he's got a fucking deep-rooted insecurity and I make him insecure. He's just a wee fucking feeble fandan. That's all he is. You better hope I don't see you in the street, Alki, because I'll bitch slap you like the little fucking bitch you are, son. When people make up bullshit and act like wee sweetie wives telling lies in my world, you get fucking slapped. Okay, son?
Absolutely. It's the only way to handle these. Even putting you next to that other clown is just, you know,
exactly.
it just stinks of manipulation and deception, you know.
That dishonest little Torah, that's all he is. Little verminous, scummy, fucking snivelling wreck is what he is.
That demonstrate the kind of propaganda that Flat Earthers like to put out regarding vacuum.
You're the only one making a propaganda video here, mate. You've told lies in the first minute, misrepresented people. So what are you talking about?
as well as one clip that they actually deny and which they claim is propaganda. Following on from that, I'm going to show another series of clips, all involving tests.
Look, my cartoons, my cartoon pictures.
In a vacuum chamber. Most of them come from the channel.
A vacuum chamber. So in order to even, you know, look at a vacuum, you had to have a chamber. Me wonders why. Why is that?
Yeah, you can't just create a vacuum without a container. Come on.
I don't know. I mean, is that not the claim, son?
The Action Lab, and I'd highly recommend that anybody who isn't already subscribed to that channel go and do that. Once I'm done showing all those clips, I'm going to come back and we're going to quickly go over them all and point out the one thing that ties everything together and shows how wrong this idea is that vacuum is a force.
Oh, this will be good. I'm hoping that we're going to get some practical demonstrations for this fucking torag. I highly doubt it.
One thing that I've got a problem with, they say they're going up into this vacuum of space, right? So for me, we live in a pressurised gaseous environment, and they're saying that's a vacuum. There's no solid barrier between them. Yet we go to physics and everyday practicality again, I'm sure you'll concur here. And all that you have two opposing pressure systems next to each other, you need to seal them. Because you know the equilibrium.
Even a low-level vacuum can overcome gravity here on the surface. In building molecule-free chambers for the manufacturing of electronics, a series of massive pumps are needed to create a 99% vacuum. That's -9 torque. And for the remaining 1%, horsepower isn't enough. It can only be achieved by a chemical leaching process. That being said, how is the -10 torr vacuum force of space not ripping off the atmosphere of this world?
The testing started just normally, like they all do. And Jim was at a vacuum in the spacesuit.
Oh look, we're in a vacuum chamber. What's this, Alki? What's this big metal stuff here? What's that needed for? Alki.
Is that a container of some kind, Del?
I'm pretty sure, Gav, that that's definitely a container. Aye. So in order to create a vacuum, you had to seal it away from the gaseous pressured environment outside it. Why is that? Okay.
With all the air sucked out, all that protected him was his pressurized suit.
His pressurized suit. How did he manage to get pressure in that suit? Okay. Is that, oh, that's right, because he's wearing a sealed unit. Separate from the vacuum in order to maintain the pressure within there. I mean, is that not true, Alki? What you believe, Alki, is that you could take that suit off and all the air that's in there will just cling round the man because you're a spastic.
Then something happened.
Aye, Alki was born.
I heard over the headset that he was losing suit pressure.
The tube pressurizing his suit had become disconnected.
I mean, is this, Alki, are you missing the point here, son? Is this not just proving what we're talking about? He's losing pressure in the suit because the unit is broken and it's now escaping into the vacuum. So there's no sucking going on in here. There's just no pressure. And the pressure that's in his suit's got a crack in it and it's now leaking out into the vacuum. Again, disproving your absurd, idiotic belief that you live on a pressurised rock, non-contained in a vacuum. What is the matter with you? Are you just that stupid that you can't see it right in front of you?
I think that's the case, Del. You know, I think a lot of people don't see these, you know, illogical assumptions that they have in there. You know, they're just not attending to the fact that these things are necessary, right? A containment is necessary to have any kind of pressure system. So, you know, they want to substitute that for equations and beliefs. You know, I don't get it anymore after 4 years how somebody can still continue. But
aye, he's obviously just a little liar. He's now actively lying and trying to deceive people, which is probably why he keeps himself anonymous. You know, because he knows he's a fucking little traitor, lying piece of shit.
if he was genuinely still wanting discussion and confused, then he's very welcome to come and talk. But yeah, they don't.
Aye, okay, where have you been? You know, again, this is the difference. This is what we're talking about. This is an example of the practical real world and the relationships between pressurized environments and non-pressurized environments and what actually happens. So for a guy that thinks he's got a grasp on something, thinks he's disproven some idiotic claim about a vacuum sucking, he's actually shown the impossibility of his deep-rooted idiotic belief.
Yep. The reality stares him in the face and he can't see it.
He doesn't want to see it.
Serious danger.
There really wasn't any feeling. It was just happening so fast, you know, trying to get the chamber back to a safe pressure and Jim to a safe pressure inside the suit.
As I stumbled backwards, I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble
So,
just before I went unconscious. And that's kind of the last thing I remember.
Come on, you melon farmer.
so again,
This is NASA's space power facility near Cleveland.
oh, here we go, we've got Cutlass. And again, in the last example, we've seen a big fucking drum, which is a sealed containment. And again, here, we're looking at a sealed containment.
Yeah. And then the other one was a very good example of the power of the, the air, the pressure, outside, right? How it collapsed that big container.
Yep.
This is the world's biggest vacuum chamber. It's used grams left.
Oh, another big container,
Oh, aye, massive container, aye. I mean, the boy's just, I think he's either really retarded or he's just a liar. I think the latter is the truth here. So he's shown in these examples a vacuum containment, and when it's turned into a vacuum, anything with any kind of pressure, gas in it, it starts to expand outwards to fill the void. Again here, seeing an expansion. There's a good gene.
Right.
2 sealed units.
Styrofoam pendulum in air. 3, 2, 1.
They can't fly because they've got nothing to push over. The flies can't fly in the vacuum because there's nothing to push over.
Exactly. If the medium is so rarefied, then what the hell are they going to do? Yeah, absolutely.
So I was lost at what point he was trying to make here. I think in his warped mind, somehow I'm trying to understand his reasoning processes, but I just can't find it, which tells me he just has a religious bias and he's just clutching at straws trying to make something stick that's just showing the absurdity of his actual belief.
Yeah, I mean, he should have called the video something to do with containers, because that's all he's showing at the moment, really, isn't it? I don't get the point, to be honest.
No, and people need to remember, the point is here, the claim is that Earth exists within a vacuum, non-contained, but pressurized in the vacuum. So far, Dick Breath here has only showed us containments and the separation of each pressure with a containment. Exactly the point. So, what is it he's trying to say here? I'm miffed.
Yeah, I'm still a little bewildered at how he can then deny containment, if every single example he's shown here needs one.
Maybe this is a confession. a subtle confession here that we're seeing from Mr. Alki?
Nah.
All right, so
Containment, containment, containment.
this is the air that was dissolved in the liquid.
Containment.
At lower pressure, it dissolves out of the liquid and back into the atmosphere. And so this is not boiling yet. And you can see it's rapid.
This is all very good.
Glaringly obvious that escapes flat earthers every single time.
Oh, he's going to point out the glaringly obvious that's escaped us. I'm interested now.
So in the NASA tests, we can see inside the chamber, and there's various cables, pieces of apparatus, and so on. And nothing is affected by the vacuum. Everything stays positioned exactly where it is. The astronaut is obviously able to withstand the vacuum.
Okay, he's in a pressurised suit, you retard. And we're not talking about these substances here. These substances are not a gas pressure. That looks like plastic and probably copper and bits of metal. What the fuck are you rattling on about here, son?
Because he's just standing, isn't being ripped from his skin. The problem comes from the decrease in atmospheric pressure. The Mythbusters episode is...
What problem? I mean, is it just me, Gav? Do you have a fucking clue what this clown is trying to say?
No, I haven't got a fucking clue what he's talking about.
No,
he's trying to, I think, tell us that we don't need a container. But every single example he's showing does have a container, so I'm at a loss for words. Maybe it's going to come still, I don't know.
Maybe.
Is the odd one out amongst all the clips because it isn't performed inside a vacuum chamber. But those of us who don't have a problem with physics understand that the reason that...
Okay, son, you've got a serious problem with understanding basic things about your objective reality, sonny boy. Right? As Gav just said, everything you've shown here is a containment within a containment, which is exactly the point we've been screaming at you for fucking 4 years, son. And this is different because that tin can's no inside a vacuum. But what are they doing to the inside here? Okay. Shooting at the air to create a vacuum. And what happens?
And collapses is because of the force.
Oh, sorry, I had to mute myself. I'm laughing so hard. So.
It's fucking... It's baffling. I can't believe the utter stupidity on display here. He needs to hang about with this guy. Maybe that's what's wrong with him. This guy here's been showing him crayons on a whiteboard. And Alki's taken what this knob end here's inflicted on him, poisoned his wee warped mind. And now Alki thinks he's got a grasp because a crayon kid here. And now he's showing us stuff that's got nothing to do with it. I mean...
When the air is evacuated from the inside, although Mythbusters actually had to damage the structural integrity of the tank before it could collapse, which of course, if flat earthers were correct, shouldn't have been necessary because
if flat earthers was correct, it shouldn't have been necessary. How? I mean, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think you've lost it.
This is what happens when he just makes stuff up out of thin air and then tries to attach it. Nothing that he says is cohesive in any shape, way, shape or form. It's not related to anything tangible or anything meaningful. He's just waffling jobby.
Power of the vacuum should have been able to collapse it.
The what? The power of the vacuum should have been able to collapse it?
Eh?
Well, if you had machinery that was capable enough to soak out enough of it to create a merry vacuum, it would have imploded. But obviously the wee equipment that they've got is not enough to soak all that space out of there. Right? And it's impossible to create a perfect vacuum because it doesn't exist. Okay.
Again, in the bowling ball and feather test, none of the equipment inside.
Note how thick the metal is on here, Alki. Do you notice how thick it all is? It's because they know when they vacuum it out, it has to be able to withstand the pressure of the atmosphere surrounding it. So they have to get a strong enough structure so that it will not collapse in on itself, son. That's down to the metal though. Okay?
The large chamber has any problem surviving the supposed power of the vacuum it's contained within, even though there are small springs and pieces of metal. Neither the bowling ball or the
We're not talking about pieces of metal and springs and bowling balls and feathers, okay? We're talking about what is wrong with you, mate? Honestly, I'm a wee bit concerned. I don't want to take a piss at you in case you're registered as retarded, right? But come on.
He sounds a bit like Ricky Fulton, you know? Yeah, he's got one of these voices that, I don't know, it's the charisma of a battery hen.
Ricky Fulton was actually funny.
Exactly.
Ricky Fulton had something to offer.
The feather, a very light, fluffy article, isn't remotely affected. It isn't being stripped apart.
Okay, it's because the feather's no gas, mate. I mean, do I need to keep saying this? The question, the question is on the claim of a pressurized gas, non-contained, existing within a medium that is a vacuum. Try and get that into your thick wee skull.
Because there's nothing there to affect these objects. The crane that they're attached to, the cables supporting it, the box that the bowling ball lands on, etc.
Okay, see your bowling ball. Could you surround it with gas pressure in there? Can you, mate? Can you do that? No, right. That's the point.
Etc. None of these things are even remotely affected by being in the largest vacuum chamber in the world.
Oh,
the eggs in the vacuum chamber by Action Lab are actually a perfect example of just how wrong flat earthers are about this.
Oh, fucking can't wait to hear this. We've got sealed units here. We've got a sealed unit, which is a vacuum, and we've got sealed units here that are known as eggs. Right?
It's about as scrambled as the inside of his fucking head in a minute, I think.
They're about to be. Maybe, Malky, I think we should put your heat in a vacuum. Would you like to help me? I want to see if you can maintain the pressure within your wee skull while I vacuum out the space. Okay.
You'll have the steam coming out his ears still.
Eggs are very thin and fragile. And
just like you.
Nothing happens to them while they're sitting in the vacuum. They don't get moved, they don't get rocked around, the shells stay intact. And even the shell that has a puncture in it, which is one of the arguments that flat earthers will use when they're talking about holes in the space station or a hole in an astronaut's suit, etc. There's just a slow leak. There's no disastrous explosion. In the boiling water example...
Who said any of that was the case, Alki? You're totally, again, I have to reiterate, missing the point. You've just shown the eggs with their cases around them in the vacuum, which is encased. You know that they have to be separated by a solid structure. You're proving the point over and over and over again here, son, and you lat up your own wee arse that you can't see it.
It isn't rocking around. It doesn't shatter. It's just a common house.
We're not talking about solids. Okay. When are you going to show us the gas?
Sold item. The crane remains on the plate that it's put on. The plate stays where it is. It doesn't shatter.
Very good.
The cream doesn't get drawn up and splattered.
What happens to the gas that's contained and locked within it, though, Alki? That's what we're concerned with, son.
All around the sides of the bowl, it just stays where it is, and as the atmosphere. Can of Coke, we have the reverse situation to the Mythbusters test. You have a vessel which contains pressure. Once the pressure on the outside of the vessel is reduced, that's when the pressure inside causes a rupture.
And what's it trying to do, Alki? Push outwards in every direction. Think about it, son. So you've created a vacuum and you've got a containment in here with gas pressure. And it's trying to get out to fill the void, which is exactly what would happen if there was a potato rock in the vacuum of space. None of us would be here breathing. Okay?
But of course, once it does rupture, there's no other damage done. The lid pops from the force that's been generated inside. The liquid temporarily hits the top of the chamber.
So you could say that's a bit like the ISS, a wee tin can.
But then, because of gravity, which they deny, everything behaves normally and heads to the bottom of the chamber. And the very
See his sweeping statement, which they deny. No, we just deny your fucking crappy explanations, mate. Right?
Yep.
We deny your mathematical sophistry of trying to tell us what it is. That's what we deny.
thin aluminium can, now that its
Like the ISS.
integrity has been completely ruined, intact, and doesn't cave in, bend, or get ripped apart.
Apart from this bit at the end here that was ripped right off. We'll just ignore that though. And the pressure in there wanted to escape and fill the void, which again is the whole point. I mean,
The example of the vacuum chamber has to be
anyway, let's go.
quoted on, and the fourth chamber here.
He's still trying to make his point, is he?
I think so.
We can see that this supposedly powerful force has no effect on anything contained in the chamber. Anytime a flat earth
It's date with gas, Alki. Anytime a globe earther brings this topic up, they misrepresent and use false everything but an actual demonstration of the claim.
earther tells you that a vacuum has power, all you need to
Who said that? Again, he's put me in here. A lying wee torag. I don't know if this guy's made day claims. This guy here certainly doesn't make day claims. So we fanny boys here, desperate little attention-seeking lying prick. Right? You've been highlighted again as a lying, incompetent moron that doesn't even understand his own belief system and how to represent the actual claim that you believe in.
do is look not at any specific vacuum chamber test, but at any vacuum chamber test, because that's one thing they all have in common, no matter what the nature of the test is. Everything inside the chamber remains completed by the vacuum, and the only
Apart from the gas, which is what we're interested in.
changes we see can always be attributed purely to the change in the amount of atmospheric pressure. So if everything that's been pointed out so far still is
What's he pointed out so far? I still haven't got it, Dale. I'm lost as to the point of this.
He's no pointed at anything. I've just stopped it. He's a fucking absolute sham. This is a Dunning-Kruger of these people that talk with such conviction about utter waffle and think, that they're sitting there with, seriousness and thinks he's making a point. I mean, it's like, I'm thinking, listen, this guy needs help. This boy needs, to be assessed by a psychiatrist because he's obviously got mad delusions going on in his fucking psyche,
It's either that or somebody needs to check all these organs that he has, right? To see whether his eyes and his ears and all these things are functioning correctly. Maybe he's got some kind of disability there. Dale, you still there? You hear me? The picture's frozen. I can't hear it. Don't know if it's me. I'll join again. Dale?
Yeah. Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think we're back, mate. I don't know what happened there.
I can certainly see and hear you now, right? I don't know about the stream
people
though.
saying they can hear.
Oh, okay.
So, anyway, you know, what else can we say about Alki and his lunacy? I don't think there's anything else we can say.
No, I mean, it's the fact that people don't see all these things that they take for granted, right? But they seem to want to ignore when they're hypothesizing some proof of, you know, what they do. You know, I mean, the fact that direct reality escapes all these people all the time is really mind-numbing for me. Yeah. So they all seem to get caught up in their, you know, ideological fantasies inside their heads. Yeah, where there is nothing of substance. You know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you know, in the very fact that ideas in your head don't have size or weight or mass or magnitudes of any kind, right? You know, you actually have to go out into the physical, real world to do that. So, and people just don't seem to want to differentiate between these two. You know, they're lost inside of their heat. You know.
They're stuck between mathematical explanations and actual tangible reality. Wow. And again, guys like Alki, they've never experienced this supposed vacuum. He's talking from a place of faith.
Oh, and
he's defending his faith. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
This is all sticking. Aye, we're getting sticking really bad, mate. You there?
I can hear you.
Aye, so you know, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the effect, this mental illness of people not being able to differentiate between a language, i.e. an explanation, and something that is actually tangibly true. So, you know, this is why they have to misrepresent and try and attach bullshit to people like us, you know, and profess that that's the claims we make when it's no. While at the same time he's demonstrating the absurdity. You know?
Right. I mean, in his own videos, he's debunking himself, you know, with most of the things that he's been showing, you know, and yet he either doesn't realize it or he's just at it, you know. And I would also think the latter.
He's probably got disciples in there that are fucking contributing to perpetuating his lunacy, backing him up. You know, we're seeing disciple behaviour, fanatical disciples that are just obviously witnessing it and just can't get it.
Well, I think you need to keep people away. You need to keep people inside their heads, right? If you're going to propagate these kind of stories, you know, because as soon as they go into reality, they'd actually get a shock again and realize that these things are not the way that they're portrayed. So, you know, the longer and the more they keep people inside their heads, looking at images, looking at screens, at films, at stories, you know, just whatever. Just don't go out and compare it to reality, because then you'll find out that it's all pish.
I know. So we'll move away from Alki and we'll get to another aspect that I found, again, highlighting the misrepresentations and the false equivalencies. Right? So.
Yeah.
Did that share? What's going on here? Why is that not letting me do that? Can you still hear me, Gav?
I hear you good. I just can't see anything though. You're not sharing yet.
Right, hang on.
Yep. I can see something now. The Astronomical Society.
Gravity or curved space doesn't always make things fall in.
So
we need to stop right there. Two wild assumptions.
So, you know, again, straight away, mathematical bullshit, curved space. So, is space a fabric? Space is now a fabric.
She got her lycra out. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, but you know, the very idea that space is curved is one of these complete, how should I say, things that you cannot at all observe or practically demonstrate. You know, every part of my reality, Dale, is when I move something of substance, you know, a box or an object, and I move it from one place to another, then its dimensions, its shape doesn't change, right? It's called invariance, right? So, you know, you can move stuff about, but they need this curved space-time to basically say that, you know, when I move objects, then actually their shape and form and dimensions are changing somehow. Or if we're going, you know, really fast, then the sides of a box will contract, you know, and that nonsense just doesn't happen in reality. You know, I defy anybody to go out, move an object, you know, a rigid object, and tell me afterwards whether its dimensions or its form has changed just because it's moved position. You know, I'd love to. But anyway, sorry. Continue. Let's hear the curved space.
Sometimes objects are in orbit, like the moon around the
Are they? You're just saying that.
Earth.
She hasn't said one thing rooted in reality yet, right?
No.
She's not made one sentence that, you know, you could even say comes from some kind of foundational principle of what we all experience in lived life, right? I mean, she just started off with three assumptions, and we've got the moon as a giant marble. Fucking brilliant.
Look, we've got a young impressionable chap here looking up to her. This highlights the absurdity of what's actually going on. This is an abuser here, absolutely abusing this child willfully.
It's like a giant marble.
Look, shaking her head and all that because she knows what she's saying is just bullshit.
Okay, it's actually a ball of rock out in space.
It's like a marble, but it's actually a ball of rock out in space.
Both are preposterous. You know, the guy who put the translation on it was obviously trying to qualify a very bad statement, and he's done it with another bad statement. As if he's improved it any. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry.
Space? Why doesn't it falter?
Because it orbits.
That's right. It orbits the
That's
Earth.
right.
Absolutely.
So there's the NLP, you know, the pat in the back so the other children watch, you know, well done, absolutely. If you regurgitate this utter bullshit, you're a good child as well.
Yeah, get a gold star in your book from the educator.
I think she's going to be showing him some bongo lessons here. I'm not sure, but we'll have a look.
But why is it orbiting? Now, Einstein's concept.
Note the word concept. Concept.
That would be an idea in your head where, you know, theoretically it gives, it gives meaning because of the words used to describe it. Yes, yeah, it's a concept. It's an idea.
Yep.
The curved space around it also determines how objects move around massive objects like the moon around the Earth.
I love the wee hand gestures, as if it's actually, you know, bringing something more to the explanation just because she gives it wee. You know, it's as well putting a wee magic wand and saying something out of Harry Potter, you know.
Aye, abracadabra. This for me is part of the NLP. This, the hand gestures, the body motions, trying to denote honesty and that you're really telling the truth. And if I just in your mind.
Around the sun. Okay, let's see what that means. All right.
Now let's see what it means then. I'm sure you're going to give us a practical demonstrations of your warped bending of space-time and things that orbit and other things. I'm sure that's what we're going to get right now.
Right, this is space.
Oh,
now,
really?
She's going to use a song. She's going to
Aye.
use a song.
A bongo. The skin of a lycra on the top of a drum is space, apparently.
Wow.
You better tell Alki, right? Because Alki thinks it's something different, hen.
Right. Alki never told us about this.
She just said that's an object moving through space. Aye, the space between, you know, the space that you're actually living in, hen. And what happened is you rolled it across the surface of another material, another tangible substance. So I'm really not sure what you're trying to achieve here. Well, I do know what you're trying to achieve, but...
Is it straight or is it curved? Oh, they're going to get into the geometrical assumptions and axioms of Minkowski space so that they can... fucking unreal. I actually used to believe this stuff, Dale, so, you know, I'm shaking my head at myself.
Yep.
Or is it curved? You want to try? Straight. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Now let's take a star, like the sun.
That's not a star, hen. That's a blue ball.
Right? And let's put in.
It's great the way she gets them to do it, right? Because that fortifies the NLP too, doesn't it? When you actually hold it yourself. Oh, I did it.
Group participation lends, credence to the whole shenanigans. So this is a star. Apparently, this is a star. This blue rubber ball, and the stuff that they've just put in lycra and rubber balls. No the star and no space. Lycra and rubber balls.
What happens to the fabric of space?
What happens to the fabric of the material? The lycra. It stretches.
Dips, you bet. Now let's move a planet through this area of space. Go ahead. What happens to it now? Is it still going in a straight line?
No, it goes around.
It goes around, absolutely.
Aye, and then stops. It goes around and then stops when it has no momentum anymore and rests against that. I mean, Scott.
Analogical reasoning once again, just showing false equivalencies. It's so pathetic.
Space, as I said before, mate, space, time, and all that stuff is obviously a pair of all women's lycra underwear. So, the reality of our existence is that we're, warping a pair of old granny's underwear. That's where we live. I hope you feel special. You're in the gusset of your granny's knickers. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Dale.
No worries, my man. It's not me. She's telling you. It's not my knowledge.
Can you make it escape from the star and keep on going? Yeah. Want to try?
If I pick the whole thing up and throw it out the fucking window.
How fast did we need to try and push this planet to make
It's not a planet, hen, it's a marble. Right, I think we've seen enough, have we not?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people have probably seen this, but it's a very good example of how education is turned loose on children, right? And again, we've said this many times. Children have credulity, right? They want to accept that an older person is telling them the truth, right? So they're obviously going to be open for that, open to learn new stuff as children are. And then they just pour this shit into their Dale, right? Using certain words and terms and those kind of analogical reasoning, lycra for space or spinning buckets of water for, do you know what I mean? And then all the words get stuffed into the little boy's head as well. And, there's no wonder he comes out bewildered and confused and, thinking to himself, this doesn't fucking jive, but I better keep my heat down and regurgitate it, otherwise I'll not get along,
But because they've imposed it with me, which is the lycra, that's cementing it in the child's mind that it has, veracity, it's real. Because look, I'm giving you a practical demonstration which in no way, shape or form accurately matches the actual claim. But that's the bit that the child's not getting. They're just getting, as you say, the adult telling them, look at how it works, and then the child's conceptualising it because it sees the practicality and then translates that into the warping and bending space-time bullshit of, a lycra existence.
Yeah. I mean, especially analogical reasoning is very, very dangerous stuff, because if you don't see that it's being done and you're told it at a very early age and, you don't get the proper education to understand, the difference between making a simile like that, right? And you're basically trying to convey concepts to them. But the little boys there thinking, these guys are telling me how it really works. This is real, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs.
Aye. And you know, you end up with fucking adults like Alki. You know, the result of this nonsense produces adults like Alki who don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about.
Didn't you get a word of that, Dale? I don't know. I think your connection's bad today. Eh? I didn't hear anything. It stuttered. Can you hear me?
No, what I would say was, can you hear me now?
Say something?
Is it me again?
It's a bit better now. Right. But you're breaking up sometimes.
Can you still hear me?
Right, I can now. Right.
Serious delay happening here. I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Well, that's better now you're back. Oh, no, you're gone again, I think. I can see it. Can you hear me?
Hear me?
Right, I can.
Aye. I don't know what's going on here, mate. It's pretty unbearable, isn't it?
Yeah, just sometimes it was all right for a while. It just cut out again there. I think you're back now, but must be your internet connection, though. I'm assuming.
Aye. Well, what I was saying, you know, is that kind of thing results in an adult like Alki. You know.
Well, like all of us, you know, to be quite honest, you know, we can't even pick on him, you know, because, you know, I'll say it again, you know, I used to believe all that stuff, you know, and I'm sure most of the people watching now did the same. Yeah. So we were all subject to the same indoctrination and educational bullshit, yeah, and basically taught to deny reality, you know, if you like, and not trust their common senses, not trust, you know, the things that your eyes and your ears and everything else will corroborate that, you know, that what can I say, you know? So we've all been through it. It's the people who don't jump out of it now after it being laid out for them, right? I mean, we can't do much better. Well, you can't do much better than laying this out every Saturday night, making it nice and simple, you know, for people. You don't need maths, you don't need physics to understand it, you know, you can just go out and verify it for yourself, you know.
But it's physics, though, and it's physics at a fundamental level that everybody's adopting and taking for granted every single day of their life. You know, that's what you see. You try and point out to people and they have a real hard time. And again, it comes back to this NLP, this use of imagery and sophistry that's caused a real deep-rooted split in people's psyche to the point where they're refusing their known existence and thinking that because an institution told them and produced an image that it must work in some idiotic, unreproducible way, you know, other than what they see on a TV screen, which again is why you get people like Alki that have to continually misrepresent, while at the same time as they're trying to misrepresent and use false equivalencies, they're actually highlighting the absurdity of the claim that they actually believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that matters to them anymore, does it? You know, because I mean, all they want is, how should I say, PR confirmation, and everybody gets so heavily invested in telling the same story that nobody wants to not tell the same story. So you know, the whole thing perpetuates, and any real science that was done in the past or done today is swept aside, right? Whether it's all the great observations that people are doing or their own practical experiments or even stuff from hundreds of years ago, that is all selectively pushed aside. And then you're left with all these peers, yeah, agreeing with each other for the benefit of their own investment in it, yeah, whatever it may be, whether it's money or power or fame or fortune, you know.
Aye, exactly. All of these people know what their real incentives are. But we'll never get to that because they're dishonest pieces of shit and they should never be trusted. As far as I'm concerned, people that can't grasp the simplicity of reality and how things work and what their relationships are with each other, then, you know, they're up to something.
I agree, because nobody can be that stupid, Dale, you know? Nobody. So.
No. You can be gullible and naive, just like we've professed. We bought into it, we assumed these things to be true. But when you turn your focus of attention to it and try and back it up with practicality and, you know, real demonstrable things, and you can't do that, then as an honest individual, you have to say, well, I have to discard that faulty belief that I'm holding.
Yep.
You know?
You have to at least recognize it as such, right? And question it, and
Yeah.
inquire as to the real, the real stuff. Yeah. So, and people not doing that, they must have some agenda for not doing it.
So,
did you have any more?
Well, nah, I was just 2 wee points right now. As I say, I wanted a couple of weeks away, mate, and I'm just going to come back. We're back next Saturday. I know you've been working on a few bits and bobs as well. So if it comes to it, and you've got something that you want to present during the week, we'll go in through the week. But in regards to the open platform, and everybody's welcome to the open platform, Alki, anybody else, that'll be back next Saturday at the usual way, because it was getting too familiar for my liking. So
right, let's do that sometime during the week. I've got a couple of things. One, I'll just say what they are. So one of them's about the big fight between Newton and Leibniz and the definitions of such things as forces, which I think is a real, important thing to look at. You have to go back to these first principles to actually, have a common basis on which you can understand things. And understanding how different people have tried to define it, I think, comes a long way to understanding how the deception works.
exactly.
And the other thing is also between Riemann, the guy who did the curvature formula, and a guy called Helmholtz, which I find extremely interesting. So Riemann wrote a paper on the hypothesis of the foundations of geometry, and Helmholtz wrote a paper saying on the facts that are the foundations of geometry. So it's actually quite an interesting comparison between the two, which I'd like to highlight because I think it would help.
Good.
Anyway,
look forward
to that sometime during the week.
Excellent. As I say, back to normal as of this week for anybody who's interested. So we'll probably have a midweek one, and then we'll be back on the Saturday with the open platform that anybody's free to join. So,
all right, my man. It's been good as always. I'll just see myself off and
cheers, Gav.
See you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Cheers, bud. So I've never came to the chat box, so I'll come right now and spend a few minutes here. See who's here. Alfredo Barragan, Mr. Teddy Bear, Meek Ford, Gerard Kelly, Sledgehammer, Meryl Beauregard, how you doing? RS Level Plane, how you doing? Nice to see you producing content as well. RS Level Plane's another guy who's just, a real guy, open and putting himself up there. And I watched your wee video talking about how difficult it is putting yourself on camera, and I totally concur, mate. It's not an easy thing, so you get a lot of respect from me for that, because it's not easy to put yourself out there. The else who steps up to the mark and who's vocal, encourage it with everybody. And again, be very wary, people, of people trying to corral you into groups and organisations. These are the things you have to be very, very fucking careful of. You don't know what their agendas are. You don't know where that's going to lead. So my encouragement is always to stand as an individual, represent yourself, and if you're going to be an activist, do it from your own back. If you require the safety of a group, you're not in the right space. Okay? If you can empower yourself and you're fully committed to your own knowing, your own understanding, and you can articulate that, that's when you move forward in regards to interacting with your fellow man. If you require a group, particularly groups who are full of flaws, who are full of faulty information and continually perpetuate it, while at the same time championing activism like they own it, then you should be really, really fucking wary of that. Okay? Encourage people to continue to make content, continue to stand on your own 2 feet and represent yourself. That way you can't be lumped into a group. You don't know what their agenda is. Beyond Belief, how you doing? Elisa Hawk, Make 4, Gerald Kelly, Unstoppable Hun, Tony T, Make 4, Sun God, Cube Dog. Oh, it's jumped. Alfredo Barragan, Lisa, John McVeigh, check out YouTube, 3 proofs that debunk flat earth theory, NASA's Michelle Thaler, well worth tearing apart. I've already done it, John McVeigh. I have came across Michelle Thaler, the very woman who I dubbed the female stunt double of Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. And she tarnished my image of Dave Mustaine because she uttered waffle shite. What are you bringing up, Harry, for no one's flower? I'm not focusing on the people in their personalities or lives. I'm talking about movements as a whole. Okay, no one's flower. So don't put words in my mouth. That's because you know what I'm talking about. I will always stand and question organisations and groups being formulated and ordered and organised and champion and trying to own things that they have no right to try and own, especially when they're fucking mimics. Okay? And represent yourself, and I'll represent myself. If I'm telling people to be cautious of organised groups, I've got every right to do so. And I have to question you and your aligning with gullibility that the group formation is all innocent. You should fucking know better. Now I've got a deep-rooted suspicion about you and what your intent is. Okay? Aye, Ted Bundy was nice, according to everybody that knew him. Ted Bundy was a lovely guy. So, yeah, oh, but they're nice. Disney fucking wash with me, hen. All right? We're not in an ideal situation. Came by, oh, well, I found out the earth's flat now, it's your loving lights. No, there's severe fucking nonsense went on here. Right? Some right warped individuals running about this fucking plane that don't have people's interests at heart, that are not interested in empowering the individual, giving them the tools of discernment that they fundamentally require. Okay, take a fucking look round about you. You're not in fairy world of ideal lovey-doveysness. These people, and it was the same when I asked the questions of their hypocrisies before, this kumbaya. What did I get? Vitriolous hatred aimed at my person for them, so they can come with a bullshit about nice. I lived the experience. I was involved in the chronology of events. I was hands-on experience of these people. I know their intent's no pure. They're fucking lying. And they treated me with contempt and distaste. Okay? So I've got a real beam my bun about these fuckers. They don't fucking own activism. It doesn't belong to anybody. It's not a concept that you can fucking trademark and say, that's mine. Look at us, we're the pioneers. They're not the fucking pioneers. They're mimickers. And they mimic at a fucking weak fucking level. Muddying the waters with fucking jibbery-jobby. This is a problem. People don't know the chronology, and these people have barefaced lied about how they came to this whole arena. Right? People saying they came to this arena at a certain date and they get involved with me at a certain date, which is fucking lies. Traceable lies. So I've got real concerns about these people and what their actual intent is. Exactly, Gav. There's many of us who were here from the beginning that seen how this whole thing transpired. So these people that come with gullibility, oh, the people are nice, and oh, the movement. I don't buy into that garbage. I'm a realist. This place is no love and light. Okay? There's sick people here. I encourage activism. I have continually encouraged activism. Continually discouraged organisation of groups and a hierarchy. Okay? If you're an individual out there hearing this, you have to hear from where it's actually coming from. Empower yourself, speak for yourself, represent yourself. That way, you're not going to be tied into any unforeseen agendas that may come up in the future. You can't account for a whole group. You can't account for people that you do not know. And I have to ask questions about adults who are truthers that encourage that type of gullible, idiotic behaviour. Be an activist from your own stance. Engage with people from your point of view. And continue to do so. And be very, very cautious. Cautious. I'm not saying don't join the groups. Don't go with the groups. Go with the groups if that's what you want to do. What I'm asking you to do is to air caution about what you're getting involved in. That's it. So don't let them fool you with a barking back that Dale's got an ego and Dale. I'm not the one that's organising people. I'm not the one that's running about saying I own activism. I'm the pioneer. I am. That's not me. Have a look at who's doing exactly what I just said, because it certainly ain't fucking me. Well, that's funny, Nonslur, because when I disagree and ask questions about hypocrisies that were right in front of my face, I get a barrage of abuse. So you might want to go and ask them what all that was about. Exactly, Trackmatic. Football's mentality. Football supporters' mentality. Exactly, neo-human Eve. This is the whole point. But I'm being tarnished with a black brush because that's what I'm trying to push for. Individual activism and representing oneself equates to self-empowerment. The diametric opposite of groupthink and the most powerful tool we have to bring about positive change. 100%, absolutely spot on. Ownership, hierarchy, stature, celebrityism. Oh, give me £250 a month and you can come and spend a day with me, the celebrity guru. What a joke. And then asking people for money for the truth. Did I ask money when I started it? No, did I fuck? Have I ever asked anybody for money? Have I fuck? If I came and tried to organise people into my wee groups with my organised group of organisers, if I constantly uploaded a perpetual repetition of the same thing over and over and over again, trying to give the illusion that something big's happening, have a fuck. I offered what I had in the hope that other people would take use out of it for themselves. No, so that I could perpetuate it and present myself as some guru, owner of the activism nonsense. So have a real look at who's offered what, because none of that's coming from me. Go and look at who's organising and trying to own it. And ask yourself why they're doing that. That would be unbelief. And you're never going to see me cyber begging Trackmatic because, you know, who would I be? Do I think I'm a messiah? I would love, there's nothing that would fill me full of joy more than me and my family living in a camper van, a nice big camper van, travelling up and down the country, meeting everybody, having a good time, having it all paid for me. But I certainly ain't going to do that off the back questions. I have integrity. Real integrity. Don't let these clowns fool you with a "I'm nice" bullshit. I'm nice. I'm nice. Come and meet me, you'll see I'm nice. You can come and meet me and see that I'm nice for absolutely no cost other than your travel expenses. So, would you like to come to the shed? You don't have to subscribe to me. You don't have to give me anything. Lost video and sound again. Cheers, bud. So I don't know how much of this is being heard and what's being missed. I'm just going to keep rattling on. So, maybe just talking to a piece of plastic here. Nobody can hear it, but hey ho. I'm here for nothing, no expense. And I'll impart the wisdom that I have for fuck all. Then you can go about your business using that. A very good no one's floor. Ask them why they're running about championing it as if they own it and why they're professing they're pioneers and all that garbage. Yet they mimic Topher my back. Alright, go and ask them. See what they've got to fucking say. Ask them why they keep putting out. Ask why they're to people in the street. This is why there was a parting of the ways between me and Mr. Harry. Because his intent is no pure. His intent's for self-gratification and whatever other agenda he's trying to fulfill in abundance right now. You go and ask the fucking questions. If they want to come and ask and speak to me about these questions and these points that are being raised, fine. We can all move on and forget about it. Until then, they can fuck off. Oh, Gail said vicious things about me. I never said vicious things about anybody. Harry, you and your wee organised fucking crew attacked me on a mass fucking scale. You're lying all prick ye. And I went to Glasgow when you were supposed to be there on the 5th. And you fucking weren't there. I wonder why, son. Scared of actual confrontation. Scared because you know you're a fucking liar. Is that what's wrong with you? Because you know the truth. Because you were there. And you know you can't lie to me because I was there. Fucking welcome you into my fucking home. Feed you fucking water you. And you fucking shite on people. You're no loving light. You're a fucking liar. And I'm deeply suspicious about you and your home and what you're actually up to. The advertising campaign's done. So why are you trying to own activism? You don't fucking own it, son. You're a mimic. You're not capable. Just because I don't flood it with the same thing over and over and over again. That's because I'm an honest man. I'm not here to entertain people and act like I'm a guru. I offered what I offered because I thought at the time there'd be useful tools there to equip themselves with. So you're a man that rattles on about integrity. You didn't show any integrity. You're a liar. And all your wee crew that have appeared from fucking nowhere. I see right through them as well. Dell's just the egotist in the shed, man. How's Dell the egotist? Where's Dell perpetuating the upload after upload? Dell's not doing that. Dell's not running about saying, I own activism, I'm the pioneer. No, I'm not interested in watching. It's the same repeated crap over and over again. Shitty interactions with people in the street, offending people, turning them off from it. You have been lied to. I am here to save you because I am the Messiah. That's the message. Aye, there's another one. Rock Vibrations, who's been involved in this from a very early stage. There's loads of people can see the bullshit that's being professed from these people. I call common purpose. That's my call. What I'm seeing for this lot is common purpose. Military type organisation and military type slogans and mantras being used. Oh no, Dale, you're egotistical. Don't raise concerns about any of that because you're just egotistical. Don't listen to any of that bullshit either. There's no ego involved here with me in that shite. I'm only interested in the well-being of each individual and making sure that we can get out of this shithole with empowered, well-informed, discerning individuals. Pragmatic, you're right, you're spot on that, because this thing about ego, I don't mean ego. There's a healthy aspect of self and awareness of self. I'm relating to the false ego, the ego that takes false stature, the illusion of stature over others and thinking that you're something better than you actually are. That's what I mean by that. It's a problem with language and how they affect certain things, and it confuses what we're actually talking about. So, when I talk about that ego, I'm talking about the falsity, the manipulative aspect of ego. Peace and love. Believe me, peace and love and an ideal is exactly what I would love. But I don't live in an ideal. And as a child and growing up, I struggled with that because I wanted it to be my ideal, but it just isn't. And people who try and keep people in apathy and blinkered to the real reality, I have to be suspicious of. Okay? I want love and light, whatever the fuck that is, peace, understanding, resolve. I want all that stuff. Rock Vibrations, it's nonsense telling me Dell didn't nurture me enough. What the fuck? Dell doesn't have a responsibility to nurture anyone in relation to Effie. Exactly, Rock Vibrations, but in those statements you can see the agenda. You can see you've got an authoritative figure that thinks he's got the right to have power over others and dictate to them, and take people under the wing. And that's a manipulator. That's somebody who thinks they're bigger than what they are and that they've got the right to manipulate the pawns under them. That's the language that's being used there. This is not an attack on activism. I'm attacking the groupthink, the group organisation, the faulty shite that's been on the street, the content. Okay, it's not a personal thing. I mean, if you're a truther or anybody who's got any awareness of any type of movements or uprisings that's ever went on, they've been infiltrated. They've been infiltrated and organised into oblivion. So air caution is my message, not a discouragement of activism. And I encourage you to go and meet these people. Go and join them. That way you will learn and you will see for yourself whether or not what they profess is actually how they walk. Exactly beyond belief. It was all twisted. The concerns that was raised was based on hypocrisies and contradictions that were being displayed. And then when they were addressed, it got turned back on me that it was ego, it was jealousy, it was this, it was the other, everything but the actual points that were being questioned. Whatever no one's for, you carry on then. Away you go and be a follower and a promoter. Carry on. You've got your own platform to do so. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. You're trying to convince us of something, though. Why? That's it, Flat McFlatface. We all have that. We're all guilty of paranoia and not knowing who to trust. But we have to ask, why are we looking at our individuals to place trust upon? We have to ask, what's that rooted in? Why do I seek completion within myself by placing trust on another? Right there and then lies the problem, the faulty problem. We shouldn't be doing that. And Jamie Brown, wait a minute, Marty, the problem is people aren't paranoid enough and too accepting. Exactly, mate. You know, exactly, but it's, you use negative words, paranoia. No, it's no. It's airing caution and being sceptical, which should be encouraged. Again, I have to remind you, people, you're not in a flowery, fluffy environment here. You're in a hideous environment that's been dominated by psychopathy. Jamie Brown talking about guys like Dalibor, right? And trying to defend people at his right to freedom of speech and why are people banning and stuff like that. Listen, Jamie, I'm a family man. I'm a real guy, okay? I draw a fucking line in the sand and I stand by what I know and I'm strong in it, right? Now you've got people like Dalibor and Agent Detective running about making hit piece videos, illogical propaganda that's no focused on anybody's content, calling people nonsense and things like that. And you think that you're doing justice by giving these people a platform to speak? You're perpetuating propaganda and fucking bullshit that can be damaging to people. Okay? So I don't have any fucking tolerance. And if cunts like that come near me, I will draw a line in the sand and they'll not get a fucking voice to speak where I'm concerned. No, when they perpetuate total fabricated lies. Propaganda. So have a fucking word with yourself, okay, son? Draw your fucking line in the sand. Have a fucking spine and stand up for what you know to be true and represent it. Stop bending yourself and thinking you have to appease everybody and give everybody a voice. Draw a fucking line in the sand. Stand your fucking ground. Okay? Only deals having in a chat. Fuck off. So what I should do is I should just allow people to come onto my platform offering nothing but propaganda and hearsay and bullshit and allow them just to spew it. No, you don't get that with me. You get me pulling them up for it. asking them to substantiate. So, John, you can be sceptical of me all you like, son. It's not me you should be interested in. It's the content in regards to the topic of discussion, which is what's the shape of the earth. So when you've got people that continually focus on everything else apart from the topic of discussion, you're an agent of propaganda. You're a fucking lying, manipulative little shit. As far as I'm concerned, that's what you are. Be sceptical of everybody and everything, right? But what you have to actually understand is differentiate between propaganda and bullshit in regards to people's persons and what they're actually offering and what they represent in regards to objective content. There's a difference. Aye, David Marks, I'm not here to kiss MD's ass. I'm not here to be your fucking pal. That's no my incentive. My incentive is to represent the fucking bare facts. Regardless of who likes it and who doesn't like it. The problem is they don't deal with the facts. They don't deal with the content. They deal in propaganda. Exactly, Marty. As I said before, I'm a man of compassion and understanding and willingness to resolve with anybody. With anybody. Right? I'm not going to put up with bullshitters. People that just make hit pieces and run away. So if any of these people want to come and have dialogue with me and resolve ceasefires, let's have it. I highly fucking doubt that you will, because it'll be conditional. Oh yes, let's have kumbaya and groupthink, but there's rules. Don't talk about that, and don't ask me questions about that, and don't point at that. Right, now we're sound, now we're united. Yes, no swearing, Elisa. Can't be in the unity if you swear. No. Apparently, the vibration caused by my vocal cords and the parting of air from my lips somehow has an intrinsic value that can affect you and change stuffs. Apparently. I don't know, J Dreamers. This is the point. There's a lot of people professing, you know, all this idealistic image, and they're forgetting what they've actually been born into and what this place actually is and what's went on before. The amount of atrocities and psychopathic behaviours, and some of it is that gut wrenching that I don't even want to go and look at it. But we've just to ignore all that and forget about these mindsets and the reasons for why these things all came. So I don't know what they've got planned for the future. It's certainly not going to be love and light. Kumbaya. I can guarantee that. What do you want me to talk about ego? What do you mean? The awareness of self. John Condell is that people want to follow you. but your message is that we shouldn't follow anyone. You remind me of Brian and the life of Brian. I can't remember the storyline of that, but well, you know, people are going to follow regardless and have idols, and I'm going to constantly discourage that and highlight the absurdity of that type of thinking. It's false, it's fake, and it's very, very dangerous. Right, anyway, people, I will be back through the week. You know, I'm sick of this stuff. I aired my concerns about all these things way back, and now you're seeing things transpire and it coming into, you know, the main light, and people are confused and they don't understand what the fuck's going on. I'm tired of going over it. I just want to focus on finding out new things and trying to further my understanding of this fucking place, what it actually is, and focus on the individuals, i.e. the mind, the constructs of mind, how it operates, and how we can understand each other and eradicate the manipulative aspects and identify where they're being used, the tools, and how they're being utilised in order to affect people. That's the nuts and bolts of this whole thing. People talk about the bigger picture. There's more than flat earth. Yes, there is. There's the very apparatus that you're occupying right now and how it actually works, how it's being influenced, how it's being bolts. That's the keys to understanding how we're in the shit we are in right now and how we can further get ourselves out of it. Okay? It's not about me being your messiah and telling you I've got the answers and I'm going to save the world by jumping about my motorbike interviewing everybody. That's not how it's going to happen. It's going to happen when you knuckle down and you really want to understand yourself and the others around you and how the whole fucking shebang has came to be. Nobody's going to offer you that on a plate. No saviour, no internet guru, none of that. There's no shortcut. You need to do the work yourself. If you're too lazy and you're not really that interested, admit that to yourself. Rejoice in that knowing and be that. Don't try and be something that you're not. Appreciate that, Stuart Mackenzie. It's always what I've endeavoured with, you know. But apparently that's egotistical. Apparently my content, my walk is egotistical. Ego, with the false ego, that, with the false ego, not an air of windswept and interesting and mystical and saviour type and exactly, pragmatic, exactly. Appreciating those who lift the bar is to be commended, not worshipped. There is a difference, huge fucking difference. Cheers, Elisa. It's nice when people can actually see you for what you are. That's where I get my satisfaction. Not by convincing people I'm something that I'm not and having a false satisfaction. It really satisfies me when I see real people who can identify you for what you are and what you stand for. And they articulate that to you. That gives me my satisfaction. That beats any monetary, any false ego stature, accolades. Well, no one's flower. Do things what you want. If you align with a group with, you know, a similar, you know, interest or goal or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. But air caution. You know, you should be an adult enough to know the dynamics of groups. People you don't know, the influences, what you can be susceptible to, how you can be influenced, what insecurities can be appealed to, what insecurities can be preyed upon. There's loads of dynamics here. This is the point. Talking about, even if the group were talking about the dynamics of the group and highlighting a lot of these aspects, it would make it a bit, you know, less suspicious in my group, my part. But that's not being done. The group continually profess togetherness, sense of security and unity and love and worship and all this stuff. And I have not seen that. All I hear is words, mantras. There's not enough time passed yet to see if these people actually walk that walk. Exactly, Marty. All groups have a leader. That's enough for me to avoid them. Spot on, mate. Question me how you like Sledgehammer. Question away. Batter in. Focus it on my content, though. There's a challenge for you. Focus it on my content. Not the length of my nails, the colour of my hair, the size of my cock, the tattoos on my skin. That's irrelevant. Exactly, Flat McFlatface. The Angry Inch is a huge fan base. Oh, thanks. The Angry Inch has just grown another 3 millimeters. Right, anyway, people, I'm off. I will see you through the week. And again, we'll be back with the format of open platform for next Saturday at the usual time. So, take it easy, people. Again, just to reiterate, don't let these people misconstrue what I'm actually concerned about. Right?